For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On a morning in 2012, 20-year-old Talia Morno left her hostel in Sedona, AZ, heading for a solo sunrise photography shoot near Bell Rock. She never returned. Despite an extensive search of the rugged Arizona landscape, Talia Morno vanished without a trace into the Crimson Canyons. For 9 long years, her family and friends lived with agonizing uncertainty, clutching to slivers of hope. Then, in 2021, a grim discovery was made deep within a remote lava tube cave. A sun-faded hoodie, stained crimson, tucked away from sight. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Talia Morno, a perplexing disappearance in plain sight. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Sedona, Arizona, stands as a landscape sculpted by time and elemental forces, its towering red rock formations imbued with a mystique that draws visitors from across the globe. For many, it is a place of spiritual renewal, a haven of breathtaking vistas and serene trails. It was this allure that brought Talia Morno, a 20-year-old photography major, to its heart in the summer of 2012. An adventurous spirit with an unwavering passion for capturing the natural world through her lens, Talia had embarked on a solo trip, eager to document the iconic scenery of the American Southwest. On the morning of July 14, 2012, before the first rays of dawn had fully painted the sky, Talia set out from her hostel. Her destination was the renowned Bell Rock to Courthouse Butte Loop, a popular trail offering panoramic views, especially at sunrise. Armed with her camera gear and a sense of eager anticipation, she intended to capture the ephemeral beauty of the desert awakening. As the sun began its ascent, casting long shadows and vibrant hues across the ancient rocks, Talia paused on the trail. She composed a selfie, a fleeting moment of self-documentation amidst the grandeur, and sent it as a text message. This simple digital dispatch would prove to be the last confirmed contact anyone had with Talia Morno. As the day progressed, the expected return of the young photographer to her hostel did not occur. Mina Klein, the proprietor of the modest establishment, initially felt a mild, passing concern. Guests often extended their explorations, drawn deeper into the labyrinthine trails. However, as evening descended and the desert night began to cool, Mina's apprehension deepened into genuine alarm. Talia's belongings remained untouched in her room, and her bed lay undisturbed. Calls to her cell phone went unanswered, disappearing into the vast silence of the Sedona wilderness. The initial worry morphed into a chilling certainty. Talia Morno had vanished without a trace, swallowed by the very landscape she had come to admire. The red rocks, once symbols of beauty and peace, now held a terrifying secret. The dawning realization that Talia Morno was missing quickly escalated from Mina Klein's personal alarm to an official crisis. The hostel owner, after exhausting every private avenue to locate her guest, contacted local authorities. A missing person report was filed, initiating a full-scale search and rescue operation in the vast and challenging Sedona landscape. The urgency was palpable. Every passing hour diminished the chances of a favorable outcome in the unforgiving desert environment, particularly for someone unprepared for an overnight stay. Command of the search fell to Arturo Valdez, a seasoned veteran of the local search and rescue (SAR) team, whose intimate knowledge of the region was invaluable. Valdez immediately mobilized his resources, deploying ground teams, K-9 units, and aerial surveillance to the critical area. The initial parameters of the search were clear: the Bell Rock to Courthouse Butte Loop and its immediate surroundings, the last known location from Talia's selfie and her stated itinerary. Every trail, every prominent rock formation, and every accessible crevice within that radius became a target for meticulous examination. However, The very beauty of Sedona presented its own formidable challenges. The terrain was a labyrinth of steep slickrock chutes, deep canyons, hidden caves, and dense scrubland, all under the relentless Arizona sun. What appeared from a distance as a smooth, navigable path could quickly devolve into a treacherous scramble. The red earth, while stunning, offered little in the way of consistent CKS, and the countless nooks and crannies could conceal a person or any evidence for an indefinite period. SAR teams battled heat, exhaustion, and the sheer scale of the wilderness, meticulously combing through areas that seemed impossible to reach, often requiring specialized climbing equipment to access. Days turned into a week, and then into a frustrating, disheartening procession of empty searches. Despite the exhaustive efforts of dozens of dedicated professionals and volunteers, the landscape yielded no answers. There were no discarded items, no signs of a fall, no footprints that could be definitively linked to Talia Morno. No witnesses had come forward. No other hikers recalled seeing a young woman matching her description after that final selfie. It was as if Talia had simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind only the lingering question of her fate. The first intensive wave of the investigation concluded with no trace, leaving Arturo Valdez and the entire community baffled and deeply concerned, the red rocks holding their secrets tight. As weeks bled into months, the initial fervor of the search for Talia Morno began to wane. The relentless efforts of search and rescue teams, led by Arturo Valdez, yielded diminishing returns. Every lead had been exhausted, every accessible crevice explored, every trail walked multiple times. Volunteers, once numerous and eager, slowly dispersed, their hope eroded by the vast, unyielding silence of the Sedona wilderness. The extensive resources initially poured into the operation could not be sustained indefinitely, and without new evidence, the active search operations gradually wound down. The intensive ground and aerial sweeps ceased, replaced by periodic checks and the quiet, persistent work of a dedicated but smaller investigative unit. Talia Morno's disappearance transitioned from an urgent missing persons case to a cold file, archived amongst countless others awaiting a breakthrough that might never come. Her name, once whispered with desperate hope and growing dread throughout Sedona, became a somber footnote in the town's history, a stark reminder of the desert's potential for inexplicable vanishing acts. For those who knew her, particularly Mina Klein, the hostel owner, the shift was agonizing. The inability to provide answers, to offer any form of closure, left a profound and enduring pain. Mina, who had last seen Talia full of life and artistic ambition, carried the weight of the unknown, her memory of the young photographer forever etched with the question of what truly transpired on that fateful morning. Years passed, each one adding another layer of dust to Talia's file. The initial shock gave way to a lingering ache, then to a quiet acceptance for many that her fate would remain a mystery. 9 years stretched out since that final trail selfie, a near decade of silence during which no new information surfaced, no witnesses emerged, and no trace of Talia Morno was ever discovered. The case, once a local sensation, faded from public consciousness, becoming a forgotten tragedy to all but a few dedicated individuals and Talia's distant family. Yet even as the world moved on, the file was never truly closed. In the quiet depths of the Sedona Sheriff's Office, Talia Morno's name remained, a testament to an unresolved disappearance, while the majestic red rocks continued to hold their secrets, unyielding and indifferent to the passage of time. 9 years after Talia Morno vanished, the quiet, unresolved nature of her case was abruptly shattered. The vast, indifferent landscape of Sedona, which had guarded its secrets for so long, finally yielded a crucial, unexpected clue. It was a chance discovery, made not by a search party, but by a lone hiker exploring an infrequently traversed section of the backcountry, far from the well-worn paths of the Bell Rock to Courthouse Butte Loop. The hiker, drawn by an unusual rock formation, ventured into an area previously deemed too remote and challenging for systematic search operations. Tucked deep within what appeared to be a small lava tube-like cave, barely more than a fissure in the rock face, lay the object that would reignite the cold case. The cave itself was situated precariously above a steep slickrock chute, a natural channel carved by millennia of water runoff, making access difficult and its interior easily overlooked. Inside this secluded alcove, partially obscured by fallen debris and shadows, was a piece of clothing. It was a sun-faded hoodie, its once vibrant color muted by years of exposure, but unmistakable for a distinct patch of dark red staining across its front. The discovery sent a jolt through the local authorities. The immediate implication of the red stain, combined with the isolated and unusual location, was grim. Yet, with the grimness came a sudden, potent surge of renewed hope. After nearly a decade of silence, there was finally a tangible piece of evidence. The long-dormant missing persons file for Talia Morno was pulled from the archives, its pages now infused with a desperate, new urgency. Arturo Valdez, the seasoned search and rescue lead who had overseen the initial fruitless efforts, found himself once again at the heart of the investigation. The years had etched new lines on his face, but his determination remained undimmed as he confronted this unexpected twist. The hoodie, carefully retrieved and meticulously bagged, became the singular focus of a brand new inquiry. Its presence in such a hidden, difficult-to-reach spot begged numerous questions. Was it simply lost? Or had it been placed there intentionally? The red stain, awaiting forensic analysis, promised to tell a story that the silent red rocks had withheld for too long. The long silence surrounding Talia's disappearance was finally broken, replaced by the quiet hum of scientific investigation and the renewed, unsettling quest for truth. With the sun-faded hoodie now secured as the central piece of evidence, the investigation into Talia Morno's disappearance, dormant for nearly a decade, reignited with a scientific precision it had previously lacked. The garment was swiftly transported to a state forensic laboratory, where specialists began a meticulous examination. The primary focus was the distinct red staining on its front, which, while visually suggestive, required definitive analysis to confirm its composition and origin. Forensic technicians also scrutinized the fabric itself, assessing its degradation from years of environmental exposure, searching for any trace evidence. Fibers not consistent with the hoodie, microscopic soil samples, or even human epidermal cells that might offer additional clues. The age and wear of the fabric would be compared against the timeline of Talia's disappearance, seeking corroboration or contradiction. Simultaneously, investigators returned to the site of the discovery with renewed intensity. Arturo Valdez, now leading a fresh team, confronted the challenging terrain around the lava tube-like cave and slickrock chute. The question loomed: why had this specific location, relatively close to Talia's last known position, been overlooked in the initial, extensive searches? The answer lay in its deceptive remoteness and difficult access. The cave was not a prominent feature, but a subtle fissure hidden above a steep, unforgiving slickrock channel, easily missed by ground teams focused on more obvious paths or by aerial surveys struggling to penetrate the intricate shadows of the red rock formations. Recognizing the technical demands of the landscape, the investigative team brought in Sky Okafor, a seasoned local climbing guide with an encyclopedic knowledge of Sedona's hidden routes and geological intricacies. Okafor's expertise was invaluable for navigating the vertical and often unmarked paths that crisscrossed the region. His initial assessment confirmed the area around the cave was a mosaic of challenging scrambles and potential drops, far removed from any official trail. Investigators pondered the precise circumstances of the hoodie's placement. Was it simply dislodged during a fall, carried by runoff into the secluded cave? Or had it been intentionally tucked away, a deliberate act to conceal or mark. The implications of each scenario were vastly different, ranging from a tragic accident to a more sinister intervention. The team, guided by Akafar, began an exhaustive mapping effort, not just of the obvious trails, but of every potential hidden route, every subtle change in elevation, and every geological feature that could explain how the Hoodie came to rest in such a secluded, difficult-to-access location. Akafar meticulously scanned the unforgiving landscape, searching for any further anomalies or pathways that could explain the Hoodie's presence. His eyes trained for the subtle signs of human passage or environmental disturbance that others might miss. The forensic examinatio of Talia Morno's sun-faded Hoodie yielded its first definitive breakthrough, not from the crimson stain, which was still undergoing complex analysis, but from the microscopic world embedded within its fibers. Specialists discovered minute particles of desert varnish, a distinctive dark orange to black coating common on exposed rock surfaces in arid environments. Crucially, intermingled within this ancient geological patina were traces of fresh quartz dust. This combination proved to be a critical revelation. Desert varnish forms over millennia, its presence on the fabric indicating prolonged exposure to the elements. However, the fresh quartz dust suggested recent, significant mechanical disturbance of quartz-rich rock, a type prevalent in the Sedona region, implying a point of impact or recent abrasion. This precise geological signature immediately refocused the ground investigation. Sky Akafar, the climbing guide, whose intimate knowledge of Sedona's geology and climbing routes was unparalleled, became central to interpreting this microclue. Armed with the forensic findings, Akafar revisited the area above the lava tube, like cave with a new objective: to identify any rock surfaces that exhibited recent quartz dust disruption, and more specifically, any signs of human intervention in the form of climbing aids. His experienced eye soon detected anomalies that had been previously overlooked. A series of small, meticulously placed climbing bolts embedded into the slickrock face, far from any recognized trail or established climbing route. These were not the weathered, older bolts of recreational climbers, but appeared relatively new, suggesting a recent, deliberate effort to ascend or descend a difficult section of rock. Tracing these new bolt placements, Akafar and the investigative team discovered an unmarked scramble route, a treacherous, unofficial path winding through a section of the red rock formations previously considered impassable or simply too dangerous for casual exploration. This route, a labyrinth of steep inclines and narrow ledges, was not on any map and required specialized climbing skills to navigate safely. Following this clandestine path upwards from the cave, the team encountered the most chilling piece of the puzzle: a hidden drop. This was not a gradual slope, but a sudden, unseen fall-off, obscured by a slight overhang and dense scrub. The drop funneled directly into a narrow slot canyon below, a tight, almost claustrophobic channel that, during heavy rains, would become a conduit for rushing water and anything caught within its flow. This slot itself led directly down into the vicinity of the lava tube, like cave where Talia's Hoodie had been found. The pieces clicked into place with a chilling clarity. The fresh quartz dust on the Hoodie now made sense, indicative of an impact or slide along this newly discovered route. The unmarked scramble, the new bolts, the hidden drop, and the narrow slot formed a plausible, albeit tragic, scenario. Talia, perhaps seeking a unique photographic vantage point or simply having lost her way, could have ventured onto this treacherous, unmarked path, encountered the hidden drop, and fallen, her Hoodie subsequently carried by runoff or her own momentum into the secluded cave. The long-held mystery of her disappearance, once impenetrable, now had a terrifyingly concrete explanation. With the final pieces of the puzzle now meticulously fitted into place, the tragic narrative of Talia Morno's disappearance could at last be constructed, offering a definitive, albeit heartbreaking, explanation for her vanishing act. It became clear that Talia, driven by her photographer's eye and adventurous spirit, had likely ventured beyond the official Bell Rock to Courthouse Butte Loop. Seeking an unparalleled vista or a unique angle for her sunrise shoot, she inadvertently found the unmarked scramble route, a treacherous path known only to a handful of expert climbers or those who stumbled upon its dangers. The recently placed bolts, perhaps used by someone else to navigate the difficult terrain, might have offered a false sense of security, or she may have attempted to traverse the challenging section without them. The critical error was encountering the hidden drop, an abrupt, unseen precipice obscured by natural growth and the deceptive contours of the slick rock. Her fall would have been swift and unforgiving, propelling her into the narrow slot canyon. The Hoodie, dislodged or torn during the descent, was then either carried by subsequent runoff or came to rest in the lava tube. Like cave, a natural collection point for debris within that geological funnel. For Mina Klein, the hostile owner who had carried the burden of Talia's absence for so long, the explanation, while devastating, offered a fragile form of closure. The endless what-ifs could finally subside, replaced by a grim understanding of the accident. Arturo Valdez, the seasoned search and rescue veteran, saw his years of dedication culminate in a resolution, albeit a tragic one. The wilderness had finally given up one of its secrets, validating the persistence of the investigation and the belief that answers could eventually be found. Sky Okafor, whose intimate knowledge of Sedona's hidden roots had been instrumental in tracing the unmarked path, felt the weight of the discovery, a testament to the unforgiving nature of the landscape he knew so intimately. Talia Morno's story became a somber reminder of the inherent dangers lurking within even the most beautiful natural environments. Her adventurous spirit, so vital to her photography, ultimately led her to a path where nature's breathtaking beauty gave way to its brutal indifference. The case underscored the critical importance of staying on marked trails, understanding one's limits, and respecting the raw, untamed power of the wilderness. It also highlighted the enduring value of persistent investigation and the subtle yet profound power of forensic science, capable of unearthing truths even after nearly a decade of silence. Sedona, with its majestic red rocks, continued to stand as a symbol of both profound beauty and hidden perils, a landscape that forever held the poignant memory of a young woman who vanished into its silent depths.